And moving on, the president of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, says that the bank is working towards financially empowering African youth through several projects. Now, in an interview with CGTN's Girum Chala on the sidelines of the AU summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Adesina said African governments must keep promises made and deliver jobs for young people.
If you project forward to 2050, you're going to get a population of 840 million people, young people on the continent. And so what Africa does with that will determine whether this becomes a demographic dividend or it becomes a crisis. Yeah. And I think today, from what I'm seeing, it's not a dividend yet, it's a crisis. Yeah. It's a crisis because you have roughly 13 million people that enter the labor market every year. Only 3 million of them get jobs. So you've got 10 million people without jobs. You also have a situation of massive amount of rural-urban migration, and so that is putting a lot of pressure on the cities. And to make it worse, you got a lot of young people in Africa that are so discouraged because they can't get jobs. They get on rickety boats and they head out to the Mediterranean and off they're gone, towards Europe. And we lost, 4,500 of them just last year. And I don't believe that the future of Africa's youth lies at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah. And it doesn't really lie in Europe. It lies in a more prosperous Africa that's able to give them economic opportunities. And that's why I really think that the theme of this particular summit is so critical. Harnessing that demographic dividend, turning it into real benefits for Africa. If we are just able to reduce the unemployment rate among young people to the same as adults, Africa's GDP will grow by more than 20% just because of that. And so what are we doing about this as African Development Bank? We've launched an initiative, a major program, which is called Jobs for Africa's Youth. Yeah. Our goal is to help our countries to be able to develop about 20 million to 25 million jobs in the next 10 years. We've got to really think big because the problem is a big problem.
As you're talking to me about the plans that the continent in general terms is planning for the youth of Africa, it's mouth-watering. This is something you want to see on the ground. As a young African, I like it. But let's talk about implementation now, because decisions are one thing, but making things happen on the ground is the other. That's the one thing that makes a difference. What do you think?
Well, that's why for us at the bank, you can give words of encouragement to young people. But young people want to have access to capital. They want to have access to land. They want their businesses to actually grow. And that's why for us at the African Development Bank, we've actually done this. We've created this, $800 million that we supported last year, and we're going to do more for them.